All right, everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Had the RBC Canadian Open, top picks, core plays, and lineup process for you. But first, let's get into a recap of last week. All right, so real quickly, just starting off with the recap from last week. It was another awesome week last week. Hopefully, you guys have been taking advantage of the picks and plays, and even the first look build that is coming out in these videos. If you guys are a 9to5 member, I know you guys have been dominating thus far this season. I really don't know how to describe the season. It's just been amazing. 3 straight weeks now of cashing, and that was after having about 2 out of 4 weeks prior to that, and that was coming off of a 3-month stretch of cashing every single week. So hopefully you guys have been taking advantage of it. But yeah, really last week went as expected. To me, it was going to be a tournament in which we just had a lot of alike plays. Just be smart with it, make the fair and balanced build, and we saw a lot of those plays being in contention, right? Ricky being in contention, Siwoo being in contention, Wyndham Clark being in contention, Matt Fitzpatrick finally found some form. Shane Lowry for a little bit of the tournament was in contention. The only real disappointment was Corey Connors. But even if you played Corey Connors, who's the correct play on paper, you had yourself a good week. It's all about making the correct decision week in and week out. And I'll tell you what, though, it's going to be difficult to do this week, and we'll see if we'll be able to do that. But do want to touch on the showdown stuff as well. I struggled to come out with showdown content. I talk about this a lot, but the tool that I have on my website is so straightforward with who the top plays are, and even the fantasy projections, that it's tough for me to come out with content because it's just very much redundant. But round 2 and round 3 were phenomenal. And what was interesting is that a lot of the top plays from that showdown tool, and I thought people would be adjusting to this, weren't that high owned. And so take advantage of that. Then also as well, the ownership leverage tool for 9to5, really strong week there as well. So now let's go ahead and get into the RBC Canadian Open picks for this week. All right, so the most interesting thing about this year's tournament is that it's going to be played at a different course. That's typically what happens at the RBC Canadian Open. They have rotating courses because it operates as an open tournament, like we would see for the US Open or the British Open, the Open Championship, if you will. That is what we're going to get this week. Now, the thing is with these style of tournaments is that they all kind of want to have the same feel for their events. So typically speaking, we will get these tournaments, these courses in which, for some reason, strokes getting off the tee is a big thing. And I think that's because they do grow the rough out a little bit thicker because it is kind of a parkland style course. So I wouldn't be surprised if this course and if this tournament does seem to play a lot like the previous RBC Canadian Open, but we don't know for sure. Okay, it is a little bit of a guessing game, and that is why it'll be difficult to really gear in on who are the top plays, especially because there aren't too many pricing mistakes on paper, but we are getting some. Now, guys, this week, course history is not going to be course history. It's going to be event history. I could have went the comp course history route, but I felt the best comp courses that we would have had most likely would have been the ones that were used at this tournament. That is also partially going to be because I do think, and we have kind of seen this with the event history, is that players that have played well at this tournament in the past tend to play well in it again. Look at Rory's winning 2 tournaments in a row as a good example at 2 different tracks. That's kind of what I'm looking for this week. All right, so as I pull up course history, just a reminder, this is going to be event history. We also took a year off from this tournament in 2020, obviously due to COVID. So looking at the course history, we can kind of see it, and we have, for some reason, had multiple winners as well. Let's just take a peek at this. We're not going to get that many players with multiple starts, but we do see some of the same players popping up in there. Shane Lowry won, Rory McIlroy won, Mackenzie Hughes, Snedeker, Hank Lebioda, a little bit of Kevin Tway, Nick Taylor, Canadian guy, Kelly Craft, wow, Adam Hadwin, decent. And so we are seeing a lot of these Canadians will actually step up and play a little bit better. That's kind of the takeaway I see from this. All right, so looking at the golfers coming in with the best recent form, Terrell Hatton, Matt Fitzpatrick, kind of no shot there. Those 2 players have been playing extremely well. The issue that we're going to see is a lot of the players in this field have been struggling somewhat. Tagala doesn't have any missed cuts recently, but not the best finishes from him. Rory obviously been a little bit too hit or miss, especially somewhat recently. All in all, Rory's obviously going to be a strong play. It seems like 3 straight make cuts in a row. Matt Kuchar, I mean, it's just not good in terms of recent form. Probably the worst field that we've had in regards to form coming into event this whole season. So that's going to be the difficult part about this week is terrible form, right? And to me, that's going to lead to a much more higher variance type of tournament. Now, I do think that there's an edge with some of the pricing that we are getting, so it's not going to be exactly a stay away. At the same time, it does seem like a higher variance week. So we should just go into the event knowing that. Now, this is a week that I might default to specialist data a little bit more than I would on a normal week. For those of you guys that are unaware, the specialist data is what I like to look at, especially in terms of weeks like this where we don't have any course history. Because what is the specialist data pulling in? Well, it's pulling in all the unique characteristics for that week's tournament and putting it into a data point. So if we just sort by the specialist rank, we'll be able to see who are the top specialists. And it's kind of no shock there who those top plays are, but it is encouraging to see that the top plays, the plays that would probably be going out of our way to play, are also the top plays that are popping up there. Now, if you want to look at some of the unique characteristics about this tournament, say the fairway width and also the green width, you're worried about that because they are smaller than normal. You could look at that, the rough length and maybe the rough amount as well. You know, being a tree line course and also being thick rough, maybe you want to look at that as well. These are the kind of things you can be doing to maybe make some small little decisions that make your week a better week. Maybe you want to look at location as well, Canadian based tracks, who plays the best there. There's some decent amount of bunkers. We got that. You could toss that in there. Course style, Parkland style course. Water hazards in play. There's going to be 7 holes that feature a water hazard in play. And so those are all going to be little things that we can use as potentially maybe 50-50 decision makers. I am defaulting to this more because the course history that we have is obviously comp course history. We don't like to look at that unless we have to, because it's not as good of a data point as course history. And for those of you guys that are curious, when we're looking at comp course history, and there's different ways to look at this. Like, I look at comp course history basically in my specialist data and recent form. Other people do their models differently and whatnot, but you're going to be pulling in that data somewhat. But if you just look at comp course history as its own individual data point and compare it to normal course history, it's about in year 4 when it equals to about the same in terms of relevant. And then we just go ahead and look at the key stats. There are a lot of players in here that do not have a lot of starts. So the key stat data is going to be a little bit skewed this week, just as an FYI. If we scroll down a little bit, we can see maybe a little bit better of a sample size, but even still, we're still seeing Sam Bennett pull up in there because we don't have a big sample size on him. But the key stats that I'm going to be looking at this week are going to be par 5 scoring. We have seen that be somewhat of a significant stat at the RBC Canadian Open. Strokes getting off the tee as well, which is kind of interesting. You could also look at total driving. For some reason, driving distance does matter as well. It's one of the strange weeks in which strokes getting off the tee, driving distance have mattered more significantly than really any other tournament. It's kind of strange. Strokes gained approach, as always, birdie or better percentage. Typically speaking, this is a little bit easier of a scoring track. We'll see if that holds up. We just don't know exactly what to expect. So if you want to look at more general stats as well, you could. But as always, looking at that 9-to-5 effective scoring and strokes gained total. Now let's go ahead and get into the picks for this week. So this week, I don't know if we actually have to afford to pay up for Rory. Now, I do want to touch on Rory a little bit because I feel like some people are going to give him some hate for not closing out the tournament last week, when really we saw basically every single player. No one really won the tournament. Let's put it that way. Okay. It was just a battle of who could last the longest. Hovland was able to make a birdie late, and obviously the bogey by Denny McCarthy was the deciding factor in the tournament. It was all about putting yourself in the position to win, and hopefully you're the last man standing. Rory played great. We shouldn't be faulting Rory last week, and I feel like people are going to be. That's 2 straight weeks in a row in which he has played extremely well. And we saw he had a fall off there, okay? Players' Championship struggled. Masters Tournament struggled. Didn't play well at the Wells Fargo Championship. And this is the thing about elite golfers, is they figure it out basically in the snap of a finger, okay? Came out and played well the last 2 weeks. I was actually really shocked at how well he played at the Memorial Tournament. So if you want to pay up for Rory, you could, but I want to put this out there. Like, you compare Rory to Scotty Scheffler, John Rahm, when I was like, why aren't these guys getting priced up to 11.5 to 12K? Rory is not even close to being the same play as those two players coming into this week data wise. Okay. He should be priced at about probably 10.8 if we're being realistic. So he's a great play. I expect him to top 10, but it does feel like we are paying up a little bit for him. Very curious to see what his ownership comes in at, though. So from there, I'm perfectly fine just kind of skipping over Sam Burns. I think he's a fine play. Terrell Hatton's definitely interesting. I don't think we need to draw too many conclusions from course history. Once again, I would rather default to specialist ranking, where he ranks 2nd in the field, 3rd best staffed in the field, and 2nd best in course, or 2nd best in recent form rank. He is a player that I do think we should be going out of our way to play. Honestly, you could have argued that he should have been the highest priced player in the slate. So a decent play, but I think we can start our builds out a little bit lower. I think we could start them out at Matt Fitzpatrick, who Fitzpatrick played this tournament last year, finished top 10. We have seen Fitzpatrick be a little bit hit or miss, I guess, if you will. Miscut at the PGA Championship. 9th place finish at the Memorial Tournament, Wells Fargo Championship 35th, first at the RBC Heritage, 10th at the Masters. Been a little bit inconsistent, but that's going to be the theme this week. And if we look at it, really one bad round. These opening rounds have just been bad for him. Besides that, has played really well. If he can alleviate a couple of strokes with really probably just one bad swing here and there, it wouldn't be shocking to see him win. So is he a lock and load play? No. Would it be shocking to see him go out and win this week? No. He's a very strong play this week. Corey Connors you could play, but let's look at Justin Rose, because Justin Rose, to me, data says he's the third best play, but to me, I think he is going to be the best play this week, given the price point. So really across the board, Rose is going to be looking like a good enough play. We always worry about players coming in off of a victory, like we see with his recent form, number 9. He followed that up with 2 terrible events. Since then, 5th, 36th, 16th, 27th, 9th, 12th. So been playing much better golf as of recent. Had a good, strong finish at this tournament last year. And the thing with him last year wasn't exactly playing as consistent of golf. And part of the reason why we also are looking at that is just the week before major. You know, does that matter? It's nice to see that they did play well, especially last year. Key stat-wise is going to be a pretty good stat fit. Specialist-wise, third best in the field. He, to me, is going to be someone that we are starting our builds out with. Then that's going to be it for the high tier range. If you end up, well, I guess Shane Lowry is going to be a very strong quality play. Definitely need to touch on Shane Lowry. Shane Lowry, 16th, 12th, miscut, Wells Fargo Championship. Oh, well. Besides that, has been pretty consistent as a golfer. Guys, that is the theme this week. Very much a more higher variance tournament. We know that, right? Tournament history, played well though. 10th, 2nd, 12th. He likes to play this tournament. 9th best specialist. Top 20 stat fit. So a little bit of pause there, I guess, given his price tag. 13th best recent form. Definitely not a lock and load, but given the price tag, I do think he is going to be someone that we can afford to pay up for. So now let's go ahead and drop down to that mid-tier range. And this is going to be where the week gets much more difficult. I like Keith Mitchell as a play. Finished 7th at this event last year. Stat fit wise, 35th in the field. Specialist wise, top 20. Recent form wise, top 40. You know, he has been pretty solid this season. 14 out of 17 made cuts. But if we look at his recent events, he has just lacked the upside. We know it's there for him. We know he can get there, but he is kind of just at a inconsistent shot to shot part of his game right now. If you want to play him, you can. Benny Ann probably would have been the best play in this price point range, making 3 straight cuts in a row. He has withdrawn. Okay, so that is going to be another aspect that makes this week difficult. Okay, one of the strongest price plays that price point plays we're going to get. Not there. Now, I don't mind Adam Hadwin, but it does feel like we are paying a Canadian price inflation here. That didn't really make sense. But event history-wise, 35th, 6th miscut. Okay, so he has played better at this event in the past. You never know exactly how much stress these golfers are going to put on themselves to perform well at their kind of national tournament, right? They want to play well, and that might put a little bit of added stress on them. Now, Adam Hadwin, I don't know what he did last week, but that was bad. 69 to a 79. Missed the cut on the number. You can't be doing that. That was just terrible. And he has been much more inconsistent round by round, and I guess week by week, than he has been any other season. But the low rounds are there. I mean, look at this, guys. 77, 76, 74. I mean, it is just crazy, the difference in round 1 to round 2. Needs to be more consistent. Maybe finally just gears up to play well. Feels like a GPP only play. And really the only play that I like in this range is actually Michael Kim due to his upside. We have seen him return top 10 upside, top 15 upside multiple times this season and recently. Okay, someone that started the season off kind of strange, played extremely well in the Korn Ferry Tour last year, especially the closing end. Took him a while to get, I guess, reacclimated to the PGA Tour, but he has played extremely well as of recent, only missing the cut in one start at the AT&T Byron Nelson, where he had one bad round. We know that those are going to happen. We know we are going to see players like that a lot this week. Glad to see that he is a good enough play, though. Do we have to play him, though? Probably not. Let's go down to the low tier range, especially if we have 2 9K players that we're trying to fit in. Eric Cole is definitely an interesting click, I will say. 24th last week, miscut 15th, 23rd, miscut 5th, miscut 39th. Like, it's just the week that we have, but he is someone that's kind of casually popping up, going to be a decent enough stat fit, pretty strong specialist. So if he is someone that you're looking at, I get it, but not exactly someone you're going out of your way to play. Last week, I kind of mentioned that there are so many alike plays, so many shoulder shrug plays, like plays that you are perfectly happy to end up on, but you're not going out of your way to play them. I would say Denny McCarthy was that exact play. Strong play, but logically, you're not going out of your way to really roster him. This week is kind of the opposite in the sense that we just don't have that many good plays. It's difficult. Honestly, I think this is the most difficult event that we have this season. Let's look at Lee Hodges. I do like the price of Lee Hodges this week. 7.5 for a guy that's made the cut in his last 3 starts. And if we look at it, he's another one of those guys where if he just gets rid of the one bad round mixed in there, we're getting much better results. And if we look further back, has been making a decent amount of cuts. So Lee Hodges, who also made the cut at this event last year, is someone I'm firmly looking at. He's coming in as a top 30 specialist, top 40 in recent form rank. The worry is going to be the stat fit, not a good stat fit. Doesn't score on par 5s. That's going to be a worry for me, but does rank out top 30 in the 9-to-5 model. Pretty good play at that price tag. We'll see if we can fit him into this build. And for some reason, Vincent Norman just continues to pop in my model. I really don't get it, to be honest with you guys, but he does continue to produce results. Literally, the last 5 starts that he has popped in as like a top 25 play. He's coming in as a top 15 play this week. Now, I would say let's bump that down to maybe 25 or so, but it likes him. Effective scoring works out really well in the season there. Scores on par 5s, good off the tee, just a good stat fit, okay? Strong specialist, pretty good recent form as well. Now, if we go back further, yeah, it's going to fall off. And a lot of his good starts were at these kind of easier type of events. We'll see how well he plays, but given the week that we have, he might be someone that we're looking to play. Now, Hughes is going to be another one of those Canadians that you could firmly just kind of see, oh, he's made 10 out of 18 cuts, has made the cut at this event 3 straight years, finishing 28th, 14th, and 8th. I know his form is bad, but would it be overly shocking to see him play well? No. And I would say, given the price, you maybe would rather play him than play maybe Adam Hadwin, maybe Adam Svensson. I'm not saying do it, but there is some logic there. Let's go ahead and take a peek at someone like Mark Hubbard. Mark Hubbard had himself a great round 1. And pretty strong round 2. Just a terrible closing round, okay? He has been someone that has been playing pretty well. 5 straight made cuts in a row now. He made the cut this event last year. Gonna be a pretty bad stat fit, but strong specialist. Top 15 in the field, okay? Top 20 in recent form rank as well. That tells you the bad field that we have because it does fall off. But given his price tag, I think he's just someone we are kind of being forced to play, and I don't love saying that, but it does feel that way. That being said, Nate Lashley is also someone that prior to the Charles Schwab Challenge, where he completely just had a terrible bad second round, missed the cut, finished 77th. He had been playing some good golf. I think he has a good chance to make the cut as well. Strong bounce back candidate this week. But we do have someone that I have rostered a ton. Hopefully you guys have been able to roster him a ton as well. We got Aaron Baddeley here. Aaron Baddeley has been playing some great golf. I really don't get this price tag, especially considering the field. Top 16 specialist, made the cut at this event 4 years ago. Who cares about that? 53rd stat fit. Top 20 in recent form rank. I mean, he's made 12 out of 15 made cuts. I talk about this a lot. Sometimes, given the price of someone, they're just the correct play. That's how it feels with Mark Hubbard, which feels ugly to say, but that has been the case with Aaron Baddeley a ton this season, and especially given the roster construction that we have, that I just feel, given the way that DraftKings has priced him, that they're trying to force this into him, and I don't really feel like it's the wrong move. Now, we do get other decent plays down this price point range. Carson Young kind of popping up. You could play him if you want to. Once again, just really one bad round in his most recent missed cut. Besides that, has been very solid. And so you're probably looking at this, well, why would I play like Norman or Lee Hodges when I can play Carson Young? It's a very valid question. I don't mind that idea of maybe not playing them, you know? Makes sense. You could probably fit in another stud. Doug Gim, a play that's going to be firmly in play as well. Scott Piercy, been playing better. I like his price. Aaron has been someone that's been playing extremely well on the DP Tour. Given the small sample size that we have on him from over there, he is someone that I think we're firmly looking at. He made the cut at this event last year. And I'm kind of going to cheat here because I'm going to move on into the value tier because I think he is someone we can firmly look at. Like, this is not a typical PGA Tour caliber field event. So we could definitely play him. Like, I think he's a fine option. You got Snedeker playing in his first event or back-to-back event in a long time. How will his body respond? That's my biggest worry. How will his body respond? He has tremendous event history, someone I think we could play, but would it be forcing him in there? Then I also was very shocked, and people that have been watching the videos this season are like, not Sean O'Hare again. He burnt me the last time I played him. Last time we played him, he shot 66 and then 77. That's very unfortunate, but he's played good enough to warrant consideration, especially given the prices that he has had. Now, He has made the cut at this event 2 straight times. One last year, 64th, one 4 years ago, 71st. So terrible result. The form is bad, but still ranks out top 30 in the field. That should tell you the caliber of field that we have. He ranks out as a top 40 specialist as well. So yes, we're not going to really love any values that we're going to be on, but we can find reasons to play someone. I think I found a reason to maybe consider him as a play. But let's look at this. Like, I feel like I've made a pretty decent build here. Let's get into the first look build section with a ton of salary left over. That's kind of my issue this week. But obviously we can afford then to pay up for another pretty good play. But do I really want to end up on Cameron Young, which sounds weird to say? Probably not. I want to find a way, I think, to be able to fit in Matt Fitzpatrick. So let's do that. We know we want to be on a decent amount of these plays. Let's figure out the way that accomplishes that. And here's another decent value play, I would say. You'll know who, been pretty solid this season. Obviously, has had a couple of blow up rounds, but for the most part, been usable. And this is kind of the issue in a nutshell this week, guys. Tough to close out the build. Let's see what we can do here. I mean, like, this is ugly, but we are getting 3 studs in there. We're giving ourselves a good chance at 3 top 10 finishers. 3 of the best plays this week: Rose, Lowry, Fitzpatrick. Ideally, wouldn't mind fitting Haddon in there as well. We get Baddeley, we get one of the better GP Tour players, and then Sean O'Hare. They give us a good chance at least one of those 3 making the cut. And obviously, if Rose, Lowry, and Fitzpatrick are able to finish top 10, maybe top 15 at the worst on average, we'll take that. Should be enough to have a profitable lineup. Real quickly, we'll get into the core plays. You guys can probably figure them out. So I have mentioned this a bunch. We just have a lack of safety in the plays. And I'm going to look this up real quick. Use the 9-to-5 data to say, do we have any core plays at all this week? Okay, so it likes 4 plays. Justin Rose being one of them. Benny, 3 now. Okay, so really not that many good plays. Okay, and let's look at high exposure plays. Still not that many. We'll probably have more fades than high exposure plays. Not too many with high pricing, but still, you guys get the point. It is going to be a much more random week, it looks like. So like Shane Lowry, given his price point, I will use him as a core play. He has played extremely well at this event, and once again, maybe you guys don't think that those are going to be the best comp courses to use. That's fine, but it's just the mentality of the event in itself that I think is another good aspect of that. Has played well at this tournament in the past. Pretty good stat fit. Going to be a really strong specialist. Top 10 there. Stat fit top 20. Recent form rank top 20. The only issue that we have is he had a little bit of a weird lull in there, but last 2 starts have been good enough. Then we look at Justin Rose, who, given his price, yeah, he is definitely the one player that I am trying to go out on my way to play, meaning he'll probably miss the cut, right? I'm kidding. Hopefully not, right? But this is one of those situations where we just continue to make the correct decisions week in and week out, and we will be rewarded in the long term, even if it doesn't work out this week. And then just real quickly as well, like, I don't mind Lee Hodges. I see him as a player I would go out of my way to play. Okay, not a perfect play. So I just want to call that out. It's going to be the same echoed for Mark Hubbard. A pretty good enough play on paper, but definitely not an elite play. Not the best stat fit either. And then Aaron Baddeley there as well. Once again, still not the best stat fit, but he has played good enough golf this season that I kind of just trust him in a weird way. It's an ugly week. We know that. But trying to find players that give us the best chance to make the cut. And guys, last week, it was actually the best winning lineup that I have in my database. Okay, the average, I have this written down somewhere. The average model rank of the winning lineup was 15. 5 out of the top 6 players in that lineup ranked top 20, and Denny McCarthy ranked 31st. And I'm bringing that up because I kind of think that this week is going to be the exact opposite, where it's going to be the worst that we have had thus far this season. And strangely enough, the winning lineups have actually been really strong lineups. And some people are saying, well, what do you mean by that? Last year, literally the 5th player and the 6th player into builds were just not good plays. They weren't players you would really end up on. This season, it's kind of shifted a little bit, so definitely interesting in that aspect. But that is going to be all for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the coverage. If you did, you know what to do. Get that like and subscribe. That does help out the channel. Let's have a good slate this week. And as always, and I mean really, guys, let's keep cashing.